What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. And today we've got a special guest, newly acquired Dodger, Mike Sirota, joins us. Mike, thank you so much for joining us here on Dodgers Dugout Live, my man.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You got it, Ronnie, a parade. We got a parade. The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series. Tony starts the 50-50 clock. Milky Magic. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone. Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right, Mike, so first thing I want to ask you is just what was your initial reaction when you heard the news? How did you hear the news and just becoming a Dodger?
Yeah, so I think it was Monday night. I was just chilling at home, I think, and the Reds just called me and they told me I was being traded. Really, it just went like that. And then I got in touch with the Dodgers shortly after. They told me, they're excited to have me. And obviously they drafted me out of high school. So it was sort of like a full circle moment for me as well. And obviously feeling wanted like that by an organization, it feels great. So I'm definitely excited for sure.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, you're someone that, a third-round pick. You are someone that has been on teams' radars for a long time. You understand the business of baseball, but, I mean, players, it's always mixed emotions when you get traded, no matter what level it's at, right?
Yeah, for sure. And especially, I haven't even stepped on the professional field yet. So it's even crazier for me. Honestly, it caught me really off guard.
That'll be a super deep cup, rare jersey for you one day when you're like an all-star player to be like, oh, I got the Mike Sirota Reds jersey.
Yeah, for about a month. I was there for it's crazy, man. Like all this stuff going on. It was so unexpected. I was actually supposed to leave to go to the Reds complex the next day. I got traded. I packed my stuff like an hour before. I had a flight at like 9 a.m. to go down there. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, I don't really know what to do now, but
You'll make them regret that they ever traded you one day. Every time you play them, you'll like, all right, let's go,
An extra gear for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and as far as the Dodgers communication, I mean, did they reach out? What have the conversations been like so far? What have they told you?
Yeah, so a few people involved with the Dodgers reached out. A few more reached out today, actually, that I have to get back to. But, it's all been positive. They're excited to have me, just the usual stuff and sort of expectations, asking me what I've been doing this offseason and how they can implement and make me the best player that I could be. So it's all exciting
What have you been doing so far this offseason as far as your training methods, getting ready for this season? I mean, you mentioned earlier it's got to be a unique situation. You get drafted by a team. You don't even step foot onto the diamond for that team and you're traded to another team. But just what has your offseason been like in preparation for next year?
Yeah, so this is the best offseason I've had in my entire career. The main focus for me this offseason was weight gain, and I've done just that, gaining strength, gaining speed, gaining power, just really the usual things. But I'm really excited with some of the swing tweaks that I've done mechanically, mentally, and physically. I'm the best I've ever been, so I'm really looking forward to this season.
Yeah, and as far as the weight gain, I'm always curious with that one, just as far as the biggest challenges there, because I've talked to players where it's not just the lifting, it's the diet in between the lifting. What was the diet like? What was the lifting regimen like? Just kind of what went into it all?
Yeah, so for lifting, I lift probably 5 days a week, sometimes 4, depending on how my body feels. I always listen to my body. That's one thing that I've had to learn how to do, especially in college. But for me, it's really just getting up bright and early and getting that first meal in right away, getting that 1,000 calories in right away initially. That way my appetite is good throughout the rest of the day. So for me, it's really just getting up early, getting that big meal in right away.
Awesome. And you mentioned those swing tweaks that you were talking about. And of course, it was kind of well documented. Sophomore season, the power numbers were just through the roof. Then your junior year down just a little bit. I mean, you played really well in the Cape Cod League. But as far as what you're trying to do with your swing, what was it specifically?
So for me last year, I was having, a number of things were going on off the field, on the field as well. But one of the main things that I was having problems with last year was off speed. And the reason why is because there was basically, just in layman's terms, like, I want my front heel down with my hands still stretched in like my launch position, and I was sort of leaking, like tilting my shoulders a little bit. My hands were coming forward a little bit before my heel was down, so I was having a lot of problems like adjusting to off speed, change up sliders, things like that. So yeah, I've been talking to people, talking to my hitting instructor. And that's one main focus that I've had so far, and I feel really good. I actually just took live at bats today, and it felt really good. So,
Yeah, I mean, you talk to scouts out there and they say, really, the sky's the limit. You can be a five-tool type of player, just advanced swing decisions. I mean, the power, the speed, the athleticism. But just how would you describe your game?
I think I'm a guy that can bring multiple things to the table. I think if I'm not swinging it well, maybe for the past few games, I think I can steal some bags. I think I'm going to play elite defense. And I think one thing that I'm really good at is just persevering, like through adversity, especially my junior season. I went through a lot of adversity, and dealing with that, I think, was the best thing that could have happened to me as a player. I think now, even before stepping on the professional diamond, I've already dealt with that adversity, and I have some strategies to combat those emotions and those feelings. So,
Yeah, you mentioned some of that, the off the field, on the field adversity you face. You care to elaborate on that a little bit?
yeah. So last season, right before the season started, I actually got really sick and I lost like 20 pounds, 15, 20 pounds. So when that happened, obviously physically, I wasn't really feeling great for the first half of the season, I'd say. And mentally, obviously, when you put in a full off season of grinding and trying to put on weight and getting stronger, and then you lose that in the blink of an eye, it's kind of, I don't want to say demoralizing, but it's almost like you feel like the entire off season was wasted in a sense. And I think one thing that I realized is that things happen, and you need to put your best foot forward in the situation that you're given, that God puts in your path. And I wasn't doing that. I was sort of dwelling on what I could have felt like physically, what I could have been physically, and I think that was one thing that I messed up on for sure.
Yeah, and you see players kind of deal with stuff later in their careers, not as much earlier in their careers. How important that is that for you to kind of go with something as significant early on, knowing that you got your whole big league career in front of you?
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's just something that it happened for a reason, and I think thinking about it in a sense of I've learned something from that instead of just I've gone through that, is sort of the mindset that I'm taking in regards to the situation. So I've definitely done a lot of thinking, a lot of decisions were being made on my part on how to think, the proper way to think, and all that good stuff. So I'm excited to implement those sorts of thought processes coming up.
Yeah, and we're glad you're healthy, you're gaining weight, getting stronger, getting better every single day. We're joined by Mike Sirota, newly acquired Dodger here on Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube. You mentioned at the beginning here, you were originally drafted by the Dodgers back in 2021, the 492nd overall pick. What do you remember from that, and just kind of the decision-making process to ultimately opt for college and go to Northeastern rather than start your career with the Dodgers back in 21?
Yeah, so my senior season, I dealt with some stuff as well, injury-wise. I actually broke my wrist a few months, I'd say, before the draft during the high school season. But even then, the Dodgers were all over me the entire process. They were definitely the main team on me for sure. So I sort of knew before draft day happened what team I was going to get picked by. I didn't know when, I didn't know what round, but I had a pretty good idea that the Dodgers were going to take me, and yeah.
And was it kind of the back of your mind, like this whole time in college, like, man, I could have been a Dodger, and just thinking about the history there and just kind of everything that they've accomplished in the last couple of years, just kind of, man, and now it just comes full circle, and somehow, some way you're back in this organization. I think it's just a great story.
Yeah, for sure. The Dodgers are the best organization in baseball. Player development, their ability to sign productive players, just the whole nine yards. They're a great organization. I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, and of course, I'm trying not to ask you about this, but I'm going to fail here. You, of course, your grand uncle is MLB Hall of Famer Whitey Ford, just an absolute legend. That word gets thrown out there very lightly these days, but he's a true legend, a 10-time All-Star, Cy Young Award winner, a Hall of Famer. His number 16 is retired by the Yankees. I want to ask you, what is the best piece of advice that you ever received from him?
So I have two things. One of them was to keep a lacrosse stick out of my hand, and the other one was to keep me off the mound. So those were the two pieces of advice from him.
And is that like injury related, or just want to see you be a position player? What was that?
Listen, when he told me, I was just like, I'll just listen to him. He knows best. Didn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, and just kind of like how special is that for you just in general to like have that in your blood? I mean, we've seen players, I mean, the Griffeys, and we've seen players in lineage and the Boones and things like that, but just kind of knowing that that's in your DNA, how much kind of confidence does that give you? And just kind of what does that feel like to kind of experience that?
I think having that sort of exposure to someone of that importance at a young age and understanding that it's possible to sort of achieve the sort of status that he achieved, it definitely makes everything more familiar, and it definitely makes everything more comfortable for me. It feels like I can. It's just one of those things where it just helps me ease my mind a little bit on things that someone that's close to me has already gone through all these things that I'm going through now. So.
And how do you think that he would feel today knowing that you're on the Dodgers now? What do you think his thoughts would be?
I think he'd be a little upset because he would probably want to see me on the Yankees, but I think
Just saying, they just beat.
yeah, but I think he would love it. It would be all good stuff. So
That's incredible stuff. Now, as far as the plan for you and joining the club, do you get out to Arizona this month, or just kind of what's the next step for you and getting with this organization and just getting this process started?
yeah, so I've obviously talked to some people with the Dodgers, but really everything's still so new that there isn't many like clear cut things that I know on my end. Obviously, they probably have some ideas, but when I get down there, I think next week I'll be a little bit more familiar with what's going on for sure.
Yeah, one thing I want to ask you too is, I mean, you know the reputation that this organization has as far as their ability to draft and scout and develop talent. How excited are you to actually experience that firsthand? And just what have you heard from anyone, even if it's outside of the Dodgers, about what it means to enter this organization?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited. Even you hear about some of the stuff they have at their complex and the technology that they have. And I'm sort of tech savvy in a sense, especially with hitting. So I'm super excited to go down there and see what they have. And it's just super exciting.
Awesome. And as far as taking the next step, we kind of talked about it a little earlier. What sort of goals do you have for yourself in year one?
I'm not big on having sort of statistical goals. I think my main goal is a daily goal, and that's every single day to prove that to myself and to I don't know how I'm going to word this, but showing everyone how great of a player I am on a daily basis. Not just how I am in the box, how I am as a person, how I am on the field defensively, on the base paths, just the whole 9 yards. Just going out there every day and showing everyone how good I am.
Incredible stuff. Now, as far as this current team, I'm sure you're a fan of baseball. I'm sure that you follow this team probably throughout the postseason just as a fan. I mean, what do you make of what this team kind of really accomplished in 2024? And were you paying close attention to what the Dodgers were doing in their run?
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable, the talent on the roster and the decisions that are being made by the front office. They always seem to be right every single year. So it's great stuff. I mean, they always do things right. And it's just simple as that, honestly.
Yeah, and also I would ask you too about your time in the Cape Cod League. I mean, there's a lot of talk about that being one of the most prestigious summer leagues. You played 33 games there. How big was that for your development?
It was great to be around other people from all around the country, other guys my age, older than me, my freshman year, and then obviously the same age my sophomore year. But it was great, and it was great in a sense that I got to see how I stacked up against the premier talent in the country, and that's always good to do at a young age because you understand that how you stack up. And I think when you're in a smaller conference and at a smaller school like Northeastern, it's hard to truly know like how you stack up against those sorts of guys and those sorts of clubs, but or teams, colleges, I should say. But yeah, going there and getting around guys, learning stuff from different guys, it's just great stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool to see guys developing like different leagues as they make it to the show. Now, want to get you out of here on some rapid round, some quick questions here. Nothing too crazy. Want to start by asking you your favorite player all time growing up.
I would say Mike Trout.
Favorite team growing up.
Yankees.
Understandable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
First car.
Mazda CX-90.
Nice.
Yeah.
What would you be doing if you weren't a professional baseball player?
Probably a comedian.
Nice. Get you at the Cellar out in New York, man. We got comedy clubs here, the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory. I love it, man.
Yeah, I'll be sure to do that. I'll check it out for sure.
Nice. What kind of material are we talking about? Like
I don't know. I just think I would be funny regardless. Doesn't matter the topic.
Nice, man. We'll get an open mic going, man. They did this one thing where everyone says how Will Smith is so dry and not funny that they did like a whole commercial here about him doing stand-up, and he did these super deadpan one-liners. It was like the funniest thing ever. So we'll get you someone going with that. I love that. Do you have a favorite comedian?
No, I mean, I just watch like, I don't know if you know the show like Impractical Jokers. That stuff.
Love that show.
It's great. I love it so much. I watch it all the time.
I love it. All right, sounds good. Okay, best meal you can cook for yourself.
I'm not much of a chef, but ground beef, eggs, and rice. That's my go-to.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. A little hot sauce on that. Favorite pregame hype music?
Anything by Rihanna.
Nice, I love it.
Yeah.
Any superstitions?
Yeah, I'm very superstitious. If I have a good game, I'll do all the same stuff in the same order every single day.
Just the same order every day. Yeah, we had James Outman. He told us last year that he had this thing called Rocka, which was a rock that he put in his locker, and he would like give it coffee, wrote a face on it. So, hey, I love the superstitions. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what is the best piece of baseball advice that you've ever received?
I think especially as a hitter, you're not defined by one game. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that's so true, especially in this sport, right? I mean, the best thing about baseball is there's a game tomorrow, right? And you can get right back on track. Now, if you were able to hit a home run off of any pitcher in the history of Major League Baseball, who would it be and why?
I would say Whitey Ford.
I was wondering if you would say that. I was saying maybe he said, maybe he won't. But
I was thinking about it. I didn't know, but that would be cool for sure.
That would make for some fun, little family like Thanksgiving conversation. Always have that on him, So
some good drama, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll love that. Okay, which Major League Dodger are you most looking forward to meeting?
That's a great question. I would say Freddie Freeman. My mom loves Freddie Freeman. She always talks about him. So
everyone loves Freddie, man. The perfect left-handed hitter and the guy who hit the only walk-off grand slam in World Series history, 696 games. He was the first guy to do it. So, yeah, I mean, awesome stuff. Freddie Freeman, love that answer. Okay, last one. Can we get your Mount Rushmore, your favorite outfielders of all time? I think we know one because of your first answer, but give me your Mount Rushmore, your 4 favorite outfielders of all time, Mr. Mike Sirota.
I would say Ken Griffey. I got Ken Griffey. I got Mickey Mantle. I have Mike Trout. And my last one, who would that be? That's a tough. The fourth one's always tough. Maybe I'm trying to think more recent. I don't want to give an easy one and go.
Yeah.
I mean, does Barry Bonds count?
Absolutely. I mean, Barry Bonds is definitely someone who you can't deny, no matter what team he played for, one of the greatest ever.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Are there any players that you kind of like pattern your swing or your game after current guys, or you just kind of like do your own thing, right?
No, I don't like to do that. I'm my own player, and I want to sort of, that's the way I go about my swing and my mechanics, that everybody's different and there's different ways to hit. So I do whatever, how I move naturally. That's how I want to move. So
awesome stuff. Now, last thing here, just what is your message to Dodgers Nation?
My message to Dodgers Nation. I'm excited to get going. I'm ready. I've never been more ready.
Awesome, man. We are so excited to have you. Mike Sirota, you guys can follow him on Instagram. We'll put his socials down below. He's getting going with this Dodgers organization later this month. And so excited to have him here on this show. Enjoy the rest of your off season. And we cannot wait till you make your big league debut with the Dodgers someday. Mike Sirota, thank you so much for joining us here on Dodgers Dugout Live, my man.
Thank you for having me.